Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Friday the 25th of October. Just a few days to go before the Wealth Creator Destruction budget that we'll have on the 30th of October. But in the meantime, you can see the FTSE just near the floor of that rising trend channel from this time last year at 82.30, the nominal level there. Not expecting a big move either way, I suppose, until Wednesday's result from the Chancellor. Support there around 81.60 from last month and this month, and below that the 200-day moving average 80.60, but hoping that we'll be able to stay within that channel. Top of the channel there at the moment in terms of the range is 8400. Need to see an end of day close above that really to give the chance of a move up towards 87 on the price channel top. I suppose one could argue the bull side on the basis that the market is currently absorbing anything which might be, or discounting what might be negative in the budget for the markets themselves. Moving along to the DAX, and here you can see that we've managed to consolidate in a good place, sort of either side of the old September peak, 19,500, which is quite a good thing. RSI, another bounce above neutral 50. We've done that several times in the last month, and hoping that we'll stay above 19,300 and then move towards the top of the channel there, 20,400 by the end of next month. I suppose there's a little line of resistance that could be drawn over the last few sessions, so through that, say 19,550, something like that, there on an end of day close basis, we might have a trigger for a move to the upside. Moving on to the Dow, which is obviously preoccupied with the prospect of a new president. And here it looks as though we're going to have to test the October support there around 41,800 and the 50-day line at some point. RSI is still on neutral 50, so today is the day we want to see the Dow rise, have a stronger end to the week. Top of the channel there, the best case scenario target at the moment, 43,600. The 1-year trend channel, but at least we're not expecting any sustained price action back below the 50-day line. Moving on to Bitcoin, and here frustrating in the sense that the market's obviously seen that March resistance line there around 68,000. We want to see a decent push now, really. I suppose it's really through 70,000 to give us a move up to that June resistance line projection at 75,000 by the end of next month. All the while hoping that we won't see anything lower than the 200-day line, 63,600, but difficult to guarantee that, especially given the way that in the recent past we've had two tests of the 50-day line, which is currently near that 63,000 level, but at least it's rising. Moving on to gold, and here the picture progress within that rising June trend channel there. The support there, we're basically coming in at the old resistance from September 2708, and above that looking for 2800 by the end of next month. That, I suppose, at the latest in terms of that. Might be worth looking at the pound just to see if any jitters regarding the budget are starting to filter through. Here you can see that we've actually gone down to the floor of the channel there, or just about the floor of the channel there around yesterday's lows, so basically $1.29. Above that, still got the chance of a move up to the 50-day line, 131.50. Worst case is that we've got to test the 200-day moving average at $1.28 before we finally head back higher. Moving on to the stocks, and basically one can see that Alkemy's made good on its, I suppose, long-awaited funding news. We already had the £1 level in play even before the news, which was obviously quite imaginative. Current situation is that we're just, 16 pence away from that level. That was also the May resistance, so maybe 102, 103 could be picked up here. Ideally, we stay on the right side of yesterday's peak at 83 pence on an end of day or on a weekly close basis, ahead of a move to £1. Worst case is we've got to test back at the 200-day line at 69 pence, and maybe if you're not in it, that would be the dip to look out for. Stock which I've never heard of, which is coming up next, but sounds very important, British and American Investment Trust. Here, the situation is that we've got this rising trend channel that's been in place since basically the summer of 2021, and looking for 38 pence, presumably on a rather slow multi-month basis, while we're above the 50-day moving average at 21 pence. Cora is next, and we've charted its trajectory very well over the recent past. The initial break there of July-August resistance at 1.6 pence, then the next significant thing was the 200-day line, and now we've had, or in the last week, we've had a golden cross between the 20 and 50-day moving averages. You can see that we hit the last two targets, and we were looking for a third target, which was old support there from early 2023 around the 3.7 pence level. So basically at the moment, above 3, looking for 3.7 pence on Cora. One of the stars of the show the last week, which has been charted here since the news came out of the funding, the £5 million funding. Here you can see that we made good on what looked to be a mid-move consolidation around the 4.5 pence level. Obviously, there was a little bit of jiggery-pokery over or near the initial highs that we had back in December, 4.25 pence. Next target there up to 6.5 pence, and third target there as high as 10 pence, which we'd hopefully get by the end of next month. Ideally, we stay on the right side of today's intraday low and the old 6.4 pence target there in the meantime. Moving along to a stock which I'm very pleased has finally gone up. Firering finally turned around. Top of the rising trend channel there at 4 pence. That was our initial target, but now we can upgrade that to 5.6 pence by the end of next month, the upper parallel of that rising trend channel base. And ideally, we stay on the right side of recent summer resistance at 3.25. You can see the shares just ticking down there, but get an end of day close or a weekly close above 3.75, that would be great. Only back below the 200-day line at 3.4 pence, delaying the upside scenario. Moving on to Georgina, one of the market's recent entrants, and here shares making a decent attempt at trying to break the 50-day line. It's the sort of third or fourth attempt now that we've had in the recent past. That seems to be critical in the sense that the shares failed there at the beginning of their journey. End of day close above 10.9 pence should be enough to get the shares up to 13 or 14 pence by the end of next month, or even sooner. But the key here is getting through that 10.9 pence. Nice that we've got an uptrend line in the RSI window, which suggests that while we're on the right side of 10 pence, the shares are in recovery mode. Moving on to Helix, where we've had the shares building on the two recent gaps, and also on the rebound for the RSI above neutral 50. That's a leading indicator on the upside, and it's worked this time. Looking for 31 pence while we're above the floor of the latest gap at 23 pence on an end of day close basis. 50 and 200-day lines both rising there as well. So lots of positives on that one. On to Hemogenyx, where one is always rather scared of fundraisers or other equivalent news, but so far we've had a bear trap gap reversal. We've held that gap there at 1.15 and built on that. So that means we're looking for at least a retest of the recent resistance through 1.8 pence and the 200-day line just below that. If you're cautious, you want to wait for an end of day close above the 50-day line, 1.4 pence, before potentially pressing the button. On to Neo Energy, and more updates for the company on its latest acquisition. Here you can see that we've had a minor bear trap rebound from below 0.9 pence. Want to see the shares back up above the 50-day line there at 1.15 pence to then lead us back to up to 1.75 pence by the end of next month. The key here, though, staying above that 200-day line at 0.7, which it looks as though the shares will do. Nice move today in Ondine Biomedical. We've had the gap there, handbrake turn gap there back in September, and then another gap higher through the 50-day line for this month. Also breaking the 200-day moving average for the first time since this time last year, which is maybe suggesting the stereo wave is finally on its way. Initial target here at 9.5 pence, but looking for 13 pence by the end of next month, back by the way that the 50-day line is now rising, and obviously we had those gaps higher. Prospex is next, where I've got a slight feeling that the shares have hit the bottom, got an unfilled gap to the upside after the gap down, and a very strong hammer candle yesterday. That suggests that we're at the bottom of the range, and we can hit the top of the range there towards 9.5 pence. I suppose I'll go for that by the end of the year rather than by the end of November, but let's see if we can get Proper end of day close above the 200-day moving average at 6 pence. Moving on to Brome, which has had a long-awaited recovery, even though it's already been on the market for a very short time. Here you can see that we hit our initial target there around 0.35. Above 0.35, looking for the shares to go up to the top of that rising trend channel from July as high as 0.5 pence by the end of next month. We are supported and encouraged by the two unfilled gaps to the upside that shares have so far had this month. On to the last two. The first one is Sovereign, and here, although it's been a slow burn, you can see the shares still progressing within that rising trend channel from February, top of the channel there, heading up to 44 pence, and we're looking for that by the end of next month. We've had the unfilled gaps, well, the bear trap island reversal, and then a rebound above a rising 50-day line. So it looks as though we are ready to move, plus that bounce at RSI 50. Finishing off with a rather unusual choice, Seascape, but at least the shares have delivered. We've got the 50 and 200-day moving averages both rising. We're about a week or so away from a golden cross, and we've been looking for 40 pence, which hopefully we'll get early next week while we're above the recent support area around 30 pence, basically today's floor. That's it from me today. More updates over the weekend.